them back to life.
You know, people sit out on the front porch hoping people will come by.
Go forth and do good. It's insane. I have the most understanding wife in the world.
I treat everybody the same thing.
Oh, that's the other thing I love about Marietta. It's like a melting pot.
You are listening to Marietta Stories. Each week, veteran podcaster Bill Nowicki brings you the heartwarming, interesting, and fun stories from the people that make the community of Marietta, Georgia, a place to call home. Here's your host, Bill Nowicki.
Andy Gaines is the executive director of the Strand Theatre, and he's very dynamic. This is a long interview. I'm going to let you know right up front, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking to Andy. He's one of several people like Taylor Rambo, Amy Reed, Brad Hawkins, that are really reshaping the museums and the arts here in Marietta. First guy out of the gate, though, Andy Gaines. You're really going to like it. Here he is. Ready?
Born ready.
All right. What's the proper name?
The Earl and Rachel Smith Strand Theatre, or as I say when I take the stage, hi everybody, my name's Andy Gaines, and welcome to your local, historic, and nonprofit Earl and Rachel Smith Strand Theatre.
Right. Yeah. I'm super excited. It's been a while since, I think we talked way back when, just kind of bandied things back and forth, but I've interviewed Ed Asner, who came here, and Donnie Most from Happy Days fame. The Strand, that was back before COVID.
It was. The before times, as we like to call it now.
And then COVID hit. Before we get started with that, what's your kind of backstory? Where did you grow up and how did you get where you are today?
So I grew up in Cobb County. Russell, Floyd,
okay.
South Cobb High School.
Okay.
And the Strand has fit into my life at kind of all levels. When I was a little kid, I came here, 3rd grade, for Student of the Year.
Really?
Got to have ice cream, as much ice cream as I wanted. It was a glorious day. Got to come to the Strand, got to see, it was tied with Teacher of the Year, and so I got to see the handprint ceremony.
Right.
It was everything. And that was my first memory of coming to the square, seeing all the pomp, the circumstance, everyone being involved. It was like the mayor showed up along with everyone. Everybody's clapping outside. It was just this wonderful, wholesome day. And that was kind of my first taste of what the Strand was.
When you describe that, I'm picturing like an all-American type event. What was about that feeling that you took away, you think?
It's kind of what planted the seed of what home could be like, and what it feels like to be on the square, around everyone, having a good time, kind of knowing everybody, and it just being a part of something that's larger than yourself. That's kind of a theme throughout my entire life, is always that wanting to be a part of everything, but being a part of something that's bigger than me, or whatever I can contribute to, it never would have added up to what the whole could be.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That's a cool story. So you're surrounded by 3rd graders that are like, I'm thinking about myself in 3rd grade. I'm thinking about how do I catch a box turtle when my parents find it, or will I have to let it go, But seemed like you had a more mature brain, maybe?
Absolutely not. No.
But
Miss Collins was nice enough to say, you know what? You seem like a good kid.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to put you forth somehow the school. So from Russell, I was sent over. And it was great. That's my first memory of the square. And then I continue coming here after.
Yeah.
So the Strand is a place where my friends growing up, this is where everybody got their start. You came and you played the Strand. If you were anybody, you came and played the Strand. And the Strand looked a lot different than it does now. Yeah. This was before the renovation. This was mid-90s. Everyone that was anyone who played an instrument in Cobb County came and played the Strand. My favorite story from that time is you would walk into the men's bathroom, and there was a hole there that was large enough for a person just to fall into and never be seen from again. And their idea of fixing it at this time was 2 boards and then a reclining chair put on top of it. Like, don't mind the big hole. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I guess we should discuss the whole history of the Strand. This, of course, was built when?
Built in 35 is when we opened. So we started around 32. The Manning and Winks Company, they were the builders and kind of the guys behind. And they built a ton of Art Deco style theaters all around the Southeast, not just in Marietta. But one of the coolest things about them was that they loved Marietta so much that they named other theaters throughout the Southeast the Gym Theater, as in the Gym City.
Ah,
isn't that fun?
Interesting. Yeah, that's
so
cool.
if you go to Tennessee and you see Gym Theater, GEM, because I'm Southern and can't pronounce things correctly,
Right.
then
I thought you said JIM.
I know, because I can't speak.
Right.
Then that was Manning and Winks. They
Yeah.
came here, they built this, they loved it so much, they said, we got to tell that story elsewhere.
So, and of course, this was back in segregation days. What was the policy when it came to African Americans?
So it was side door. You can see the remnants of that side door because it was a larger door than what we have now, and go straight into the balcony.
Oh, right.
So we had a kickoff event not too long ago. It was a private event during the pandemic, and this woman came who was there for the party, and then she started weeping, and I came over and said, "What's wrong? Do you need anything? What can I do for you?" And she said, "I'm just so happy. This is the first time that I've been able to come in through the lobby and go into the main auditorium." She grew up in New York. She used to come to Marietta during the summer to be with her cousins from until about the age of, I think she said, 12, 13, but she came every summer growing up. And so she had not been back since then. And she told me a story not only about the Strand and coming in, how it just, I mean, she was speechless. She just stood there and wept and just sort of was looking all the way around and just couldn't believe that one lifetime.
Right.
This is all one lifetime
Right.
where you had to come in from the side, you had to sit in the balcony, and now you can come in through the front doors and sit in the main auditorium just like everyone else.
Yeah, I think about that. You know, I interview a lot of people, and it's so much more. It's almost like you reach a line sometimes when you ask questions. Oh, it was fine. Like integration was fine, or it worked out. And it's true. It wasn't a violent thing in Marietta, but imagine the seismic shift that we went through as a community during that period.
Absolutely. Think of it from the outside perspective. She was from New York. She
Right.
could sit at a lunch counter. She came here. She said the first time that she went, her mom gave them some money to go get food. So she went into whatever lunch spot was on the square and sat at the counter and was like, "I'll have a sandwich," or whatever she ordered. And it was like everyone went,
Yeah.
and just stopped and stared. She had no concept of that. And then her cousin was like, we can't do this here. You have to, we don't, and, it was like, we're not trying to cause problems and all that. And
Yeah, imagine though being a parent trying to explain that to a kid.
I can't
I
can't imagine.
Yeah, makes no sense. But anyway, so back to the Strand 30s. It was built. Of course, the facade of the building's beautiful. It's lovely inside. It has this huge organ in the front. All that was part of the Strand at that time.
all the Art Deco styling, the outside, and sort of that feeling, the 30s was all that. When we came in as Friends of the Strand, as the nonprofit with Earl and Rachel, everything was redone. It was a $5 million renovation. Everything was done to come to be reminiscent of the 35, but it wasn't exact. So we used to sit 1,000 people in the auditorium. We're at 531 now. Number one, people were skinnier, and so seats were narrower. Now they're wider. We took down some of the balcony. One thing that we added is our fourth floor event space. That wasn't there before. I think Earl Smith said it best when I was first getting here and understanding what all was going on. He said, not everybody was putting on a show in 2008 when we reopened, but everybody was still having birthdays and getting married. So that event space on the fourth floor was a huge driver in the beginning of getting people in here, income coming in. Not to skip too far ahead, but the Strand, when we reopened in 2008, we were just supposed to show a movie on Friday and Saturday night. It wasn't, that was the plan. It immediately got thrown out the window. We had the Marriage with the Lyric Theater, who we love, who came in, did Beauty and the Beast as we reopened. Kind of just, we shut off like a rocket. And when I came in 14, we were averaging about 350 events a year, which is great, you know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the before time, so in 2019, we did 1,100 events between the three floors.
Jeez.
1,100 events. That doesn't include educational, because education happens inside these walls. It also happens outside in the world. We had 500 educational instances. We had 189 students that participated. We had more than 25 performance opportunities, more than 25 volunteer opportunities during that time. So we're not even touching normal event stuff. That's outside. Mm-hmm. So we had 80,000 people walk through the doors in 2019. And one of the things that we really discovered when we did a deep dive into what the Strand is, what we mean to people, why we exist, why we should continue to exist, we realized that just a little bit more, but about half of our audience was going inside the auditorium, and the other half were coming to our second floor piano bar lounge, the Lumiere Lounge. They were going up to our fourth floor event space with Cobb Terrace overlooking everything. So we realized, yes, we're a theater and we, have all these wonderful shows and all of that, but we're a community center. People get married here and have birthdays here and have all these wonderful shared experiences. And we weren't looking at it that way, but the numbers told us that story. And so that's how we view ourselves now.
Yeah. So back to your story. What happened after the third grade?
So I grew up on the East-West Connector before the East-West Connector was there.
Before the Silver Comet Trail. Or was
Silver
it,
Comet
was it there?
not really there.
Yeah, okay.
Probably riding our bikes through the woods at that
Right,
point.
yeah.
But I rode my bike in the tunnels underneath the East-West Connector is now Home Depot. Because the East-West Connector was not built yet, you couldn't easily get from where I live to Town Center Mall because Cumberland to Town Center, that's the East-West Connector, essentially. So we would drive through Marietta. And I just remember seeing the historic homes, and it was sort of this idyllic, wonderful place that houses where I live don't exactly look like that in South Cobb.
That's true. But, it was also because I talked to many business owners here in the square, and there was that period when malls were huge. They built Town Center up in Kennesaw, and the square became like a ghost town.
Yeah.
And it was a really dark place. And where did the Strand fit into that revitalization?
I distinctly remember there being Schilling's, Hemingway's, and Eddie's Trick Shop. And that was kind of it. I mean, the Strand was here, and that's why I was coming, to be with my friends and everything else, and we would hang out and think we were cool. We had to find our identity and who we were going to be and what we were going to be. And when I think about what the Strand means to this community, I think about the history. I think about what people tell me, when they used to come here for the cartoon, Saturday morning cartoons, and then they would go eat lunch, and then they'd come back for the matinee, and they called it the babysitter. Because parents could drop their kids off.
Really?
Feel comfortable, pick them up after the matinee. So they got a full day to go do whatever things they needed to do around the house and grocery shop, whatever it was. And that's awesome. Rachel was the original one that got roped into revitalizing the Strand. And Rachel believed in all of the warm and fuzzy feelings that the Strand can provide to people. It's the aspirational, the inspirational. Mm-hmm. I mean, kind of nowadays, just the functionality of being in a room with 500 people and having a shared experience. Rachel loved all of those squishy, lovely feelings. Earl, on the other hand, saw the Strand as what could be the cornerstone of economic development on the square. When a couple goes out for an evening of the arts, they'll spend an additional $49 in our local economy. Whether that's buying gas or getting a babysitter to come or going out to our more than 35 restaurants and having a bite, maybe having a beverage of their choice, but having a good time. When we're fully rocking and rolling and I got all 3 floors open, which would be essentially every Friday and Saturday, if not more nights of the week, then you're looking at 500 people, another 75 people, 134 people. And yes, one event is cool and that brings in money, but if you can do that all the time, 365, then you can make a real impact on the economy here. Yes. So we're a nonprofit. Our budget is open. You can look at our 990. It was about $1.6 million in 2019. Our economic influence on our local economy was $4.187 million. And I knew that we were making an impact because restaurants would start to call around Tuesday saying, so what you got this weekend? How should I staff my restaurant? You know, are you going to have Menopause the Musical coming in? Are you what do you got going on? Is it going to be 8 sold out shows in 6 days, or what are you looking at? What do you got going on? And so when we moved from 350 events in 2014 to 1,100 between the spaces, because we're not afraid to flip a space. So, you know, hopefully we're providing lunch on the square, and then, you know, people come in for an evening thing.
Yeah.
We love it. We love being in the middle of it. And there's so many wonderful arts we're here. I love it. But we've got all these wonderful arts organizations that are located just either on or off the square. You've got New Theater in the square across the street. You've got
Thomas.
Yeah, we love Raul. We're on the Welcome Center board together. We've got the Lyrics Black Box. You can see a cabaret. Right. Marietta Theater Company's inside of there, so you can go see one of their crazy musicals that they always put on that are fabulous and have a dinner. You've got Sally with the Art Museum. You've got the History Museum. You've got Trevor with the Root House. I mean, there are 16 nonprofit arts or government-owned organizations that are here. People ask me all the time, like, Theater in the Square, is that your competition? And I always go, no. My competition is sweatpants and Netflix.
Yeah, I was going to say Netflix and chill, yeah.
Or the Braves your competition? No. I want people to go to the Braves Stadium. What are you doing with the 2 other days that you're in town? Right. Hey, just choose Marietta. We got a lot of stuff going on. That was why the Arts District was created. Right. So that we could make sure that people continued to spend money in Marietta and stay in Marietta, rent cars in Marietta, stay in hotel rooms in Marietta. If you come here, there is something that you can do. And it doesn't have to be the arts, but we're a part of that. You know, maybe you're doing the Mountain to River Trail. Maybe you're doing Kennesaw Mountain. There's a lot of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And that has really made an impact. You know, the trails I love because I'm a cyclist, hiker. I love it.
I am with you. And I've got 3 small children.
Yeah.
So
wear their butts
I got
out.
to wear them out so they'll take naps.
Yeah.
But tourism is Cobb County's #1 moneymaker. That's awesome. We should continue that trend. We should make sure that people know that no matter where they're going or what they're doing, hopefully in Marietta, that we have things to provide them. And we have great restaurants. We have great retail. You could spend a night here or wherever, and you're going to have a ball.
I was here for the second monthly outdoor concert on the square. It was terrific.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Well, and it's almost like, and I was on submarines in the Navy long time ago, but when we got off the sub, it was like that energy. I felt that energy. It's like people have been pent up for a year because of COVID. And it's like people were dancing, they're talking to everybody. I mean, it was amazing. It had such a cool vibe. And the band was terrific.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Good party band.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. So we finally reopened to the public. We've been private this whole time. 16 months of private events. Let me tell you, that'll get you. Hey, we were happy for it. We loved having people here. But having 500 people, I mean, we had the Street Fighting Band, which is Rolling Stones tribute. We're not talking high art here. Maybe this is my favorite, not the best concert. It's not like I saw the Stones. They all get it. They know where they were. But this might be my favorite concert of all time just because this is the first time out. Everyone was beaming. People were high-fiving me as they left. I was saying, thanks for coming. We hope to see you again soon, all that kind of stuff as people were exiting. And I was getting high fives. It was amazing. It was so much fun.
Well, yeah, as general manager, I know you have a lot of challenges. I know your job is not all smiles and fun, but that must make at least part of it worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest, it's mostly fun.
Yeah.
I told the chair of our board, who's Kim Gresh, I said, if you want me to leave, you're probably going to have to drag me out. Because it's like waking up to go to a playground every day. I've got 300 kids in my auditorium right now watching a movie for summer camps. We're flipping the space right now. We're going to have a rehearsal dinner upstairs on, Friday night, I guess.
Who's catering that?
I don't know. We've got a bunch of caterers.
Wow. So you're like connected all around, all these tentacles. People are coming and going.
Absolutely.
And it's recreated that community center that you talked about.
Right. There's a few things that are pillars of the foundation for the Strand. And one of them is we will partner.
Yeah.
I want to partner with individuals, businesses, other nonprofits, arts organizations. I want to partner with everyone. Great example. We did bonkers, wonderful, extravagant, ridiculous show on our stage in the Before Times with Vic Reynolds playing the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, I was here.
Yeah. Who does a dang
the old assistant or district attorney?
Yeah, we did old radio dramas live on stage with a 50-piece orchestra with 11 actors, script in hand, like you would if it were a radio drama and you were watching it, Foley artist. We would have never been able to do that on our own. We partnered with the Georgia Symphony Orchestra. We made it all work. I got Vic Reynolds in a full cowboy outfit.
I know.
And a mask.
Right.
And I don't know what could be a better work experience than that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of my favorite things I've ever done in my entire life. And I've worked on some cool stuff along the way.
Yeah.
And that was just, and that's what we have to be. We're the connectors.
Yeah.
We have the place. We're on the corner. It's awesome. We've got all these floors, all the stuff going on. Everybody's in and out all the time. This is where people have good, happy memories. I don't deal with people coming here because they're sad. People come here because they want to be happy.
And they want to disconnect
from
whatever's going on.
Yes, and then share it with all their neighbors and friends and community and feel like you're a part of something.
And you have that feeling of the crowd. That's why, ever since the Greeks, that they recognized that theater was such an important part of their world.
That's right. That's why you had someone directly talking to the audience in the Greek plays.
Yeah. Well, I interviewed Schuler Hensley, and he talked about that magic that happens on Broadway. And when you're standing in front of that crowd and the lights go up, you can't replicate it. You can't do it in a movie. You can't do it whatever.
It's so true.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. I'm just going to take a moment there to process that. But let's go back. I think you're in like 6th grade now. You're on your bike going to the... So how did you get here from there?
All right,
from 6th grade bike ride.
All my friends got started here. Everything, we were playing in bands. We were doing
what
this.
What did you play? What instrument?
Oh, nothing. I'm not an actor. I'm not a singer.
I thought
I can dance a little bit. But I've always enjoyed being a part of everything that's going on. Maybe I just have FOMO and I ended up in the entertainment business. But I did take the stage for the first time here, singing with them and all that kind of stuff. I was in the marching band growing up.
Right.
But when I graduated from South Cobb High School, I went to the University of Georgia. Mm-hmm. I started out in the business school. And it was fine. And I was moving along. And then something in my life happened that sort of changed my trajectory. So my grandmother was the matriarch of our family. I spent the night with her from literally the time I was born until I got to high school. And I played trumpet in the marching band. So basically Friday nights were football games and then, late night Waffle House. She was walking distance. I was over at her house all the time. She was the kind of person that when I had the gang together in the neighborhood, we would just happen to be over there. Right. And then it was
She'd feed you.
Yo, yeah. Sandwiches would just magically appear.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. So she got sick when I first went to college, second semester, freshman year. And she wasn't going to make it. And she asked for me to come back, and I went and saw her, and we had a really great conversation. And she said, I know that you're doing the business school and all that. Maybe that's where you need to be, and then maybe that's what's going on. And that's great if it is. But if it's not, just remember that if you love something and you work really hard at it and you can be good at it, then someone will pay you for it. And the benefit of also that is that you're going to have a really fun life. So again, you know, you're in Terry College of Business, fabulous, like.
Yeah. And you're 18, 19, your mind's kind of like,
Yeah.
I got to pick something. People are asking me, I got to pick.
Yeah.
I'm picking business.
There's a plan. I got to stick to
I got
the
a
plan.
plan.
Let's do the plan.
But she planted that seed. In your head.
Oh, yeah.
It started sprouting.
Absolutely. So I go in, you know, I'm just noodling around on that. And I decided to take a semester off. I went into the bursar's office or whatever, and they said, you know, come back. Don't just, you know, if you leave, you might not come back. And I was like, I'm going to come back. I guess what everyone says, I'm just trying to figure out who I am.
Find myself.
Where's my path? Mm-hmm. And so my roommate and I decided that we would ask every person that we knew, do you have anyone in the United States that would take us in for a day, a week, whatever, and just give us a place to sleep and, you know, that kind of deal.
I didn't see that story going in this direction, but keep going, dude.
So,
you got me.
So we did. We asked everybody, and we planned our entire trip based on who would be willing to put us up for a night.
In what car?
My gosh, this tiny little, little Lincoln Town car kind of.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh my gosh, it was so ridiculous. There are a couple of things. I learned that I really wanted to travel, and I wanted to see the world. I learned that there are a lot of wonderful people in this world, and then there are a lot of people that never seize the opportunity that they had when they had it because they didn't know it was there in front of them. The number of people that said, if I had known then what I know now, like that I'm going to have a marriage and then I'm going to have kids and I'm going to have more and more responsibility, that I'll never be able to just go, I would have done what you're doing, which was a big seize the day kind of thing that was planted in my head. Also, greatest piece of advice ever given about traveling. All right, you're traveling across the United States. Let's say you can't get a hotel room, everything's sold out, or in my case, like you were just super poor. Go to a hospital because they expect people to sleep in their car and they have 24-hour security. Right? I had no idea. Best piece of advice we ever received. So whenever we...
And nobody thinks twice that you're sitting there for 12 hours.
Nope.
Or sleeping.
Yep, not
it's
at
like
all.
They're just waiting.
Yeah, you're just waiting to get back in for viewing, you know, to be with your sick person. So we did that. We went all around the U.S. What we thought was going to be like a 6-week trip ended up being an entire semester. And I came back invigorated, having had this experience where I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what steps needed to be taken. So I left. I stayed at UGA.
Was there a moment that happened, or was it just?
Yeah, you know, actually, so we went to the Grand Canyon at night. All right, I had never been. I had seen the Grand Canyon in a textbook in elementary school. For whatever ridiculous reason, we drove there. We parked overnight, and then we were gonna leave. And my roommate, who was driving, said, "Get up! You've got to see this." And I was like, "Oh, I've seen it in a textbook. What do I need to see it for? It's fine. Just go. We'll go." We were headed to California. I don't know where we were headed at the time. Maybe Vegas, somewhere along the way. He's like, no, you really need to see this. And so we got out. We spent the entire morning just watching the sunrise over the Grand Canyon, which is, for anyone that has never been, so beyond comprehension on how large it is that it makes you realize how small you are, and it cemented a longing of wanting to be a part of something that's bigger than myself. I took these things, I went back to the University of Georgia. All of my business credits essentially became electives, and I tried to figure out where I wanted to be. I took a class called Script Analysis with Dr. Farley Richmond at the University of Georgia. And it was everything that I've ever wanted to do in my entire life. It was so awesome. It was taking these stories, breaking them down, figuring out how they worked. It was like I was a watchmaker. someone that would repair
I
a watch.
see.
You take it all apart, you see all the guts, and then you put it back together again. And that cemented it for me. He was a mentor and a friend. We went to India. I have the underwater basket weaving of college degrees. And I will put my college degree up against anyone's as far as most ridiculous. Okay?
Yeah.
I have a drama degree, but in Kathakali and Kudiyatam, ancient Indian Sanskrit theater. So I got to go to India. I got to study in Kerala for the oldest art form that, as far as we know, in existence.
Yeah.
And I took all of his classes. Everything that he did, I was a part of. He let me take master's level classes as an undergrad. I just got to experience. I went to England. I went around the U.S. I got to do things that people don't get to do. And I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I got to be a part of these big things in the entertainment field. My path is set.
Yeah.
I was a part of 22 productions at the University of Georgia. Whether it was as simple as helping out for a night or casting a show, running spotlight for a production, running in front of I did everything. I would have cleaned toilets, which I think I probably did at one point or a time. I would have literally done anything. I graduated from the University of Georgia on a Saturday. By Monday, I'd hit the ground running in a box truck. I lied saying I could drive stick, which I had on a Volkswagen, but never on a dang box truck before. Headed to West Virginia, and I was on the road for 2.5 years working large-scale events like music festivals and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, I see.
Really got that travel bug out of the way.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I
was
can
on the road.
imagine.
Good grief.
Yeah.
I was on the road for a while.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But we had so much fun. It was just a ball. I did a good job. We won the Grand X Award for one of the tours I did, which was, if you remember, Motorola flip phones. We did that along with concerts. Pepsi was involved. We had these huge trailers that would open up into stages and kind of like this. It was like multi-floored spaces you could be on. There were lounges, all this stuff. It was crazy. But we won, it was the Grand X Award, which is for the best event marketing that in the world. So that was awesome to be a part of something that insane.
Because I'm an engineer, and I went to Virginia Tech, and I remember the day, because you talk about the watch, taking a watch apart, but when you're in engineering school and they start explaining the way the world is wired, and it was like a switch that I can't see the world any differently now, because you understand physics and chemistry and electrical engineering and the 5 equations that explain it. And it's such a neat feeling, because it's like it shifts your whole perspective on things. And it sounds like that one class was really that for you. And then you connected with that mentor, which must have been incredibly powerful for you too.
It really was. I mean, he helped me, find myself and where I was and where I wanted to be in this world, and was very supportive. And I mean, we just worked on so many different productions. I mean, I got to do everything, which really set me up for success later. Because, I mean, that was...
Yeah. Well, do you have a story that's kind of like Apollo 13, where you had to just throw stuff together and make it work, or anything like that pop to mind?
I remember we did a really funny short play called The Problem. And it's just 2 people, which you'd think, 2 people, that won't be hard.
Yeah.
So which means all dialogue, an intense amount of dialogue. But it's this really funny concept. It's about... the woman comes home, and the husband's already there, and she says, "I'm pregnant." And she walks in, and she's got the belly and everything. And it starts out normal, and they're having a normal conversation. And as it goes along, things become more and more ridiculous. Well, I'm in love with the neighbor next door, so we have to break up. And well, that's nothing, because I've been with the neighbor next door, and I know all of your plans to escape because we're lovers. It was just more and more insane. And then in the end, you find out that basically it's just a game between the 2 of them. It's just it ends on like them starting to kiss. It's really cute. I came in late on they needed an extra play, coming in, casting it, rehearsing nonstop because it's all
Yeah.
the whole thing is just dialogue.
And you got to get it right.
Yeah, and you
or
got to
the
get
whole
right.
thing
We're doing it in
falls.
the round. That one really sticks out because when we finally went to stage with it, it was one of those like I can't watch. I think
Right.
it's going to be a train wreck kind of deal. And there's just this electricity that happens in live theater when you get people in front of you and it melds together. And it turned into this, I mean, it was a farcical kind of thing, but it was this beautiful experience. And it was for these limited number of, there was probably 50 people there. And these people got to experience this one thing,
Yeah.
and then it's gone.
Right.
So no one else will ever be able to experience what we experienced at that moment, at that time.
Right.
And there's something really special and exceptional about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Being a part of that moment. And there are moments that can happen in the real world or in movies and all of this, but there's something about a moment that can happen on stage. And there's also something to be said about no theater is a great example, like a Japanese no theater. So you put restrictions on yourself on the way you move. You want to do the least amount of movements and anything else. And you think that, this is actually a great life lesson that I've learned. You think that putting restrictions on yourself and having to play in the sandbox makes it, you can't be as creative. When you're short on time and short on money and short on this and that's when you get creative.
Right. Absolutely.
That's when the things and the magic happen. It's between all of
the friction and
between all of that. That's where it comes from. When you have no box to play in, the sand gets spread out too far. Inside of a sandbox, you can make a castle. You can't make a castle
great
with
analogy.
sand thrown throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
It takes that box. And so I embrace the box. I'm all about the box. Give me the box, and then let's figure out the ways to be creative inside of that. I remember, so we didn't win Best Picture. We didn't win Best Actor. We didn't win any of the real things. We won Best Shot in the Campus Movie Festival when I was in college because we had no money, and I had something very specific in mind where it's about like two people that want to be together. It's kind of like a West Side thing. Two lovers that want to be together.
Right.
And the people are trying to keep them apart. And so there's a thing inside of a restaurant, and they get pulled away. And then the girl sits down at the table, and she's really sad. But I needed it to break into dance, something you can't do inside of a restaurant. There's no room to do that.
Right.
With the no money we had, we built a fake wall so that when she sat down, you'd think you were still inside, and then it moves away and you're outside and there's all these dancers behind you. And that was the magic moment. But how do you do that? Well, we have no money. Great, we'll just paint, a piece of Luan and we'll slide it out of the way. Like, what could be more simple than that? But if we had money, we would have tried to do all sorts of crazy things that would have never worked for what it was. It's sometimes the no money solution that ends up being the best thing.
Well, you learn so much too that you can add to your tool chest of things. But all right, so now we're out of college.
Yep.
How did you end up? And you're traveling.
Yep, traveling
West
nonstop.
Virginia.
It was great. I got the call. Hey, y'all won the Grand X Award.
Right.
You've got credentials. Everything has gone according to plan.
You're waiting for the phone to ring
Waiting for
at
the
this.
phone call. Just waiting for them to bring me
Broadway.
into the office to be able to work inside the office.
Oh.
I get to the office, and then the company gets bought out, and they fire everyone. Literally, why did I come off the road again? So now I'm sitting here with no job, don't know what in the world I'm going to do. And I got a call from a Howard alum who said, Tyler Perry's opening a new studio, and he's hired all of these people from historic black colleges. I know you didn't go to an HBCU.
Right.
What if you came and helped us open the studio? And in my mind, I'm going, I ain't got nothing else to do.
Right.
So let's do it. I've always wanted to work and, be able to actually work in the entertainment business.
Right.
This was right when the film incentive it was starting. It was the wild, wild west. So I went over and helped Tyler Perry open his studio. So he had just left Krog Street, and he was over at the base. Mm-hmm. 250 people. I worked more on that stint than I have ever worked in my entire life. At one point, I worked 105 hours in 6 days. I slept in my car. I just changed clothes. I would go back in. But let me tell you, we got that. We opened the studio. Everyone was there you could possibly imagine. All the movie stars, all the stuff. Yeah, I met Oprah Winfrey, Sidney Poitier. Like, it was awesome. It was everything. And then when it was all over and said and done, and we were all
got
being
fired. No,
well, that wouldn't have been the first time. They said, "Will you come back on Monday?" I was like, "Sure." And so there I am. It's me, and then another gentleman named Brahim Roberts, who is still in the film business to this day. He's a great AD. And they said, "Hey, could you move this furniture on this part of the lot over to this other part of the lot, and then sweep up and let us know when you're done?" So we would, every day, we would come in and we'd move furniture, all the stuff from the opening party, from one place to another sound stage, to another. And we did this for 2 weeks before finally we were like, okay, what are we doing here? Why is this? Why out of all, like, what are the things? And they said, well, out of everybody who was here, you two worked the hardest, and we're going to find you jobs in the business. I don't have anything here for you right now, but the film incentive's here. I will find you a job. So he got me a job at Cartoon Network, working on a made-for-TV movie, the beautiful and wonderful Ben 10 Alien Swarm, which no one in the world's ever seen, but it was directed by Alex Winter of Bill and Ted fame, not Keanu. And that was my first gig in the film business. Real gig. That started many years of, I filmed a lot of stuff in Atlanta. So that, pilots, what else did I shoot? Due Date, if you remember that, it was with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis. I did a movie that ended up being called Killers with Ashton Kutcher, Katherine Heigl. Still the second best rap party of all time that in all the years that I was in the film business.
What was so cool about it?
Somehow, someone had convinced whoever owns Patron to just drop a pallet of Patron and then walk away. So it was the craziest rap party I've ever been a part of. We kicked the night off, and I got to dance with Katherine Heigl, and that was awesome. And it was just, the Beach Boys were playing in Atlanta at the time. They came. I mean, it was insanity. It was just everything you could possibly imagine. And then I did one of the pilots that I had done here, got picked up to series. It was on ABC, called Detroit 187 with Michael Imperioli of Sopranos. And I was working on Fast 5 at the time when they sort of changed what the Fast and Furious movies were. It kind of became a heist film as opposed to whatever the previous Fast and Furious movies were. I don't know. I've never seen. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just working as a fixer. They tried to getting camera equipment where they needed to be and greasing palms as needed kind of deal because they were filming everywhere. And I got a call on a Friday afternoon, and I was done working for the day, and from the producers that I had worked with on 187. They were at the bar, having had, and they said, "Hey, Andy, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm at my house, hanging out." "Well, we just got picked up the series, and we want you to be the first person we hire on this show. How fast can you be out in LA?" And I said, "Can you give me just give me 5 minutes, and I'll call you back. 5 minutes, promise." So I hung up the phone, grabbed my checkbook. I walked downstairs. I was living on North Avenue at the time, just shooting movies and stuff around there. I said, "So how much to break my lease?" "Okay." Wrote check, put on table. I said, "I'm out." Handed my keys, went upstairs, packed my bags, called him back, said, "All right, I'm on the road. I'll be there on Tuesday." And so I was out in LA for 5 years, worked on a bunch of fun things. That show was amazing. We wrote in Los Angeles, filmed in Detroit. We were all of the even episodes. And that was Jason Richmond, David Zabel. David Zabel, who ran ER after John Wells left for years and years, has all the Emmys that would exist in the world. Two of the best mentors I've ever had in my life, who were Beverly Hill folk, but the most down-to-earth people you would ever meet in your entire life.
You know, I love good food, and I love the Zaxby's over at 591 South Marietta Parkway, not only because it has good food, but the place is run well. And who runs it? John Sylvie. John Sylvie gives back to the community. He loves Marietta. He's always supporting sports, humanitarian things, and he makes things happen. And he doesn't look for a credit, but people have recognized him. He's won humanitarian awards. He's won business awards. He's a great guy. So check out the Zaxby's over at 591 South Marietta Parkway and help support his local franchise business. It's time to check in with my friends at Johnny Walker Realty. Let's hear from Johnny Walker himself. You've kind of made it through that small business process into a, mid-size growing real estate empire.
Oh, I don't know about that. We're not trying to take over the world. We just want to be able to do a little business in Marietta and Cobb County and the surrounding areas, and we have great agents that work with us, and if it wasn't for them, none of this would have been possible.
Let's hear from one of their agents, Patty Kendrick. What made you decide to come over to Johnny Walker Realty?
It was just a good fit. A lot of these people worked with me in the past. We're all old Marietta folks and support each other, and that's about it.
What do you love about Marietta?
Oh, I've lived in Marietta my whole life.
So you don't know anything?
I don't know anything else.
Well,
I guess all the love and support that everyone gives each other.
if you're going to buy or sell a house, check out Johnny Walker Realty. That's JohnnyWalkerRealty.com. They're at 600 Kennesaw Avenue, Suite 200. Give them a call, 678-626-0403.
A great story and a thing that I've taken with me for my entire life. So we were editing an episode, and so you've got two executive producers, you've got the person that's editing, and then you've got me in there, okay? And we're trying to make a scene more tense. So you've got, I think it was a scene between DJ Catrona, who's now in the Shazam films, and whoever. But there's a thing where there's a person on the other side and they're talking, and then he said something dumb and he's like, I'm trying to figure it out. But how do you build that tension without words? So it's got to be edited correctly to how much time all these
spacing.
Things, how it all works. And then in walks whoever. I have no idea. I don't even know if they were a part of the production. I got to be perfectly honest. Who's taking the garbage out. And he's listening and just sort of very slowly doing the bag and taking stuff out. And he's listening to all the things that we're saying, trying to make it work. And he said, hey, what if you tried this? And then, so in that moment and for them it meant nothing, but for me it was pivotal for the rest of my life. Because they could have said, who are you? Get out of here. Do you know how many Emmys I have? Do you know what movies I've written? They could have said any of those things, and their reaction was, hey, that's probably a good idea. Let's try it. And so this dude who was taking out the trash made edits on a show that ended up on ABC, because the way they lived is they said, it doesn't matter where an idea comes from, best idea wins. Yeah. Best idea always wins. Who cares? We're all in this together. Whatever works the best, we should do. And I use that everywhere. Yeah. My staff, all the time, I'm asking my staff questions, and best answer wins. I don't care who.
Right.
I don't care. Whoever has the best answer.
Yeah, well, but you got to think about what's your goal, what's the vision, where am I headed, and how it's, and in that equation doesn't necessarily have to be you. You could be, like you were saying, the connector and all these other things.
Right.
You don't have to be the person that's, okay, you're doing it my way.
Nope.
I was thinking this the whole time you're talking. It's like, okay, I hear you loving the activity of putting on shows and doing all those things. How do you shift to a general manager at the Strand? How does that happen? Leading people and dealing with all the people stuff.
Well, you kind of have two rules that are one rule. The first rule is be a good person. And the second rule is don't be a bad person. And then from that, everything kind of springs off. I don't believe in micromanaging people.
Yeah.
I believe that you hire the best and the brightest. and then you give them the tools that they need, as my staff listen to this, not always money, to do the thing that needs to be done in the way that you see fit. It's like Chris is our facilities and an events director. So I will say, these are the things that have to be done. You tell me how you want to do them, and then let's talk about it. Let's figure out the way to do it. But I think empowering people so that they're not just doing a job, but they're in charge, they feel empowered. That's my role, is to make sure that the ship is sailing where it needs to go. But as far as how the ship is being run, everybody's got a job. And as long as they can own it, live it, love it, and make it work. I mean, that's our motto here at the Strand. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
We'll always make it work.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Andy, but when someone messes up or they drop a tray of something and why didn't you do it this way? And I have a better thought. How do you stop yourself to maintain that organization the way you want to?
Praise in public, criticize in private. Mm-hmm. Everyone makes mistakes. It's all about how do you learn from it.
Yeah.
And if you have people that can number one, accept failure, because failure is a part of life. And I don't understand the people that think that failing is the end of all existence. I put on things that weren't great. You know what we did? We fixed them. You know what the best example of that is?
Yeah.
All right. So when I came into the Strand, we'll go back in time for a second. I came to the Strand for the first time since about 1996 in 2011. Okay? I was in LA. I was working on movies. I think I was working on like Neighbors or something. But we had winter break, Christmas break. My parents called me and said, "Hey, are you going to come home like around Christmas?" And I was like, I think we are. And they said, "We have got the biggest treat for you because we have bought tickets to the Strand Theatre to see a show." And I just started bursting out laughing because the last time I had been here, hole in floor,
right? Yeah,
not the place that it has become and is. And I came and I saw and had a wonderful time. I say all that because I came to see the Christmas show. And the Christmas show was a very specific way and had been from 2008, whenever the Christmas tradition started, all the way up through me being the facilities and events director here, and then took over as general manager. Not that I need to put my spin on everything that exists in this world, but I knew where that show needed to go in order to give it new life, new breath, and be different. I wanted it to be like those old-timey Dean Martin Christmas specials where you've got all the song and dance you could possibly like shove into 90 minutes, but it's got all these wonderful, ridiculous skits and people are having fun and someone's hosting it, all of these things, okay? And I said, this is the direction that we need to go for our audience so they can have a different connection than just the way that it's been. Not that anything is wrong with the way that it has been. It is the way that it has been has built us up to where we are now. So I give immense praise to Earl Reese and to Cassie Kostoulis because one built railroad tracks and one built a train, and my job has just been to keep the train on the tracks because they built a foundation for us to be able to succeed.
That constraint again, that constraint and the creativity. Right,
so I've done all these things. I've gone out on the wire. I'm not usually the one that says we're doing it this and this is the way, but I had the vision. I knew what it needed to be in order to be successful. Shane Delancey, fabulous director, handles so many things around this state, directing wise, came in, did the show, and then we watched the dress, and it was not right. We all sat there in silence. All the guests left muttering things, whatever they were saying. But we knew that it wasn't where it needed to be. All right. There was a group of 9 of us between director, music director, choreographer, board members, staff members.
And this is the day before the show?
The day before we opened. Christmas 2018. My first Christmas show here at the Strand Theatre after taking over as general manager.
There was a lot on the line.
And so...
You had something that worked. Why'd
Right.
you mess with it?
Right?
I told you, Andy.
I know. Why'd you?
I told you
this
so,
was gonna
brother.
happen. We all huddled together and I said, I know that this is the direction that we need to go. I know that this is right. We're not going to just get scared and reverse. So I need to hear from each one of you the problem and the solution for everything that's wrong with this. And it wasn't that everything was wrong with the show.
Yeah.
But it was missing the heart. It had a lot of wonderful singing and dancing.
Flashy.
It had, we call it flash and trash. It had all of the, it was checked a lot of boxes. But what it was missing was the heart inside of it. You know, like the Christmas message. And there's a reason, you know, all of that's really sappy and all of that, but that heart has to be there or it's just a bunch of singing and dancing.
Right.
I mean, it you know, for what it is, it has to, you're in these constraints. You have, in a Christmas show, there has to be heart inside of it. Have you ever seen the Santaland Diaries?
No.
It's one of my favorite Christmas things. It's David Sedaris.
Oh, I
right.
love. Oh, I've listened to the.
All right.
Yeah.
Beyond fabulous. It is a tradition in my family.
Yeah.
So every year you go see, quote unquote, the same show, but all the jokes have changed. Okay?
Right.
And it's got all the flash and trash and all these things. But what makes that special is the heart that's inside of it, where he has his Christmas miracle.
Yeah.
He realizes why he's there, what he's been doing. Like that exists inside of there. So we rewrote some of the different pieces. And made sure that the host stayed laughable and lovable, and some of the things that were a little more biting, you know, than should have been for Christmas. We cut those. We added, and what we did was we added the heart back in, but we would not have gotten there unless I would have been willing to first admit I ain't perfect. We can all work together. Let's create something that's bigger than all of us so that we can create something that's big enough for Marietta.
Yeah.
And every person sat there and said, and it was, you know, you're like taking it on the chin. This is what's wrong with it. I think this is how we fix it. We come in for rehearsals on Friday before we open for the show. We twerk. Sorry.
Twerk.
Yeah. We tweak it all. And we found the heart of that show, and we put it on stage, and people were laughing and crying. And here's the best part of all of that. All of that work, staying up all night, doing everything, the audience never knew.
Yeah.
They came in, they saw a show, they laughed, they cried. There was a heartfelt moment. They were inspired. They got to have a Christmas moment with all these people. They walked out, and they never knew that the train was on two wheels sparking. They never knew. And then there we are, passing out, going, how do we do this?
But it sounds like, too, I bet it gelled you as a team.
Oh,
and
100%.
You went up several levels in terms of your abilities.
It's a team sport.
Yeah.
No one ever views this as a team sport, but it is. This is my sport, you know?
Yeah.
We get to come, we get to put things together, and we put them on stage, and we get to see how we do against people's expectations, how other people do it, everything else. And we produce a lot of shows.
Yeah, I can't imagine. But I'm sure people are listening to this going to be thinking this. So you had this great gig in L.A. I'm sure you've networked with people. You can name your next job and move and do even more fun things. Do you miss it?
All right. We were having a lot of fun. We were living on the beach, Hermosa Beach. So if you got LAX, you go south one, you're at El Segundo. One more, Manhattan Beach. And then this little speck in between Redondo and Manhattan is called Hermosa Beach. You walked outside, you saw the ocean. All right? It was idyllic. It was phenomenal. I was cursed. If I was living on the west side, I was working on the east side. If I was living on the east side, I was working on the west side. But you can deal with traffic. But yeah, we were having fun. I had just come off a movie called The Wedding Ringer. It was with Josh Gad and Kevin Hart. Great movie. Hard movie. 18 principal cast, and I was in charge of all of their scheduling, and that was insane. But I was doing it. Like, I was living the dream, you know? Like, I was doing all of the things. And then 3 things all happened within 72 hours that sort of changed the trajectory. So I was coming off The Wedding Ringer. My wife was coming off the Teenage World Cup that was set in Los Angeles at the Galaxy Stadium with the Goodyear blimp and the governor and like all the things. So 2 fairly big projects. And we got an unexpected call. A very good friend of mine and hers, separately, it was very funny. My wife and I met. We had all the same friends and had never met each other until after college. All the same friends. It was crazy. We went to our first real date. We went to a birthday party, and it was this guy's birthday party. We didn't even know that we knew the same person. And when we got there, it was just ridiculous. So he passed unexpectedly.
Oh, boy.
He got his start here at the Strand Theatre just like I did. He played bass in a bunch of different bands and was a good dude. And he passed, and no one saw it coming. I mean, he was in his 30s, completely unexpected. I said, I got to go back for this. I can't. This is not something I'm willing to miss. I flew out to here. So right before I left, that kind of got my wife and I, we started talking about the future and everything else. And we said, all right, you're coming off a big, hard project. I'm coming off a big, hard project. Would now be the time to start talking about a family? And if we're talking about family, not that we have to, but should we look back in Georgia just because, like, both families are here? Does that make sense? And we thought, well, we got a long time before we have to deal with this. So cut to, I'm at my friend's house that I'm staying with as I've flown back from LA. And we're leaving to go to the funeral, and my wife calls me and she says, I'm pregnant. So that was unexpected, needless to say. And so I went to the funeral, and it was sad. And at the same time, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my wife's we're pregnant,
Right.
And
Your mind must have been going in a million
directions. Well, within the next day or whatever it was, after I had put out feelers to all of my drinking buddies back here, just saying, whatever's, I thought I was going to just roll onto a movie, if like we were going to move back, whatever the case was. I just said, if anybody knows of anything, like they should just let me know, and then we're going to kind of see where the chips fall. And I had a drinking buddy that was drinking buddies with someone at Strand. And then they reached out and they said, hey, sounds like you might be wanting to move back. And I said, yeah, like what's the gig? And it was running all the events here at the Strand. And I thought, dang, that would be fun. Keep me in everything. Movie hours are, of course, insane, 12-hour minimum days and all of that. Not that it was too much different here, but I didn't know that at the time.
Right.
Also, there was another part to that. We did the funeral, and then because he was a musician and all of our friends all grew up together playing and everything else, we did a show. And it was everyone that had basically ever played with him before. And it was people that had not picked up an instrument since high school, all the way up to the bassist for Katy Perry, like on tour, in the studio, and all ranges in between. And everyone just got up. I hadn't seen these people in years, really. And it was just a special moment of what art could, we were all grieving, and we all came together, and we had this moment together. It was this moment that happened. And so kind of on the same way that I left to go out to LA was how I came back. I got the call. I said, all right, I think I'm going to do this. And then packed up my bags and came here and got started. And that was 2014.
But it sounds like part of that was the reconnection with your family, your friends, and you probably missed that somewhat?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I was so kind of narrowly focused on
career.
Yeah, if I'm gonna go out to LA, like play in the big leagues, I had been, sort of the big fish in the small pond here in Atlanta. Like, my claim to fame, quote unquote, for Atlanta movies is that I never went longer than one weekend without a job, which for freelance film,
it's hard.
It's difficult. So I'm like really proud of that and got to work out with a bunch of awesome. But I got my ticket to LA. I ain't missing this. I mean, I was gone and called. My wife was not my wife at the time. She was my girlfriend, and I said, I'm gone. I'm super gone. But if you want to come, like, we could do this. We could do this together. But I was just so narrowly focused on trying to make it because it's cutthroat.
It's scrap.
Yeah,
You're scrapping.
I mean, everyone's smart. Everyone's hardworking. Everyone lives and breathes it. Like,
and most people are waiters and waitresses and stuff.
yeah, and it's hard to distinguish yourself from everyone else.
But it's the constant kind of, you got to keep running. You got to keep moving.
It's a sprinting marathon.
Yeah. So you started here at the Strand. What was that first few months like for you?
It was insane. So I got here that first weekend, and it was dark. And I was like, aren't things supposed to be happening? And they're like, oh, no, just wait. And that's the only time I've had a dark weekend since coming to the Strand. But I remember, before me, there were 7 people in 6 years. 7 people, 6 years in that position. So it was a high turnover, all that kind of stuff. And we were averaging about 350 events a year in 2014. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all out. And so I rented this place out to anyone and everything that could possibly ever happen, whether it was a show, a movie. That was actually one of the nice things about having worked in the film business was that I knew the location managers. I was like, y'all come film here. We need it.
Yeah.
Come on. We filmed a bunch of stuff here over the time, which has been lovely. Because they always pay well and they always leave it better than they found it.
Right, yeah. But you're hustling. You're still hustling.
I mean, no one knew me.
Yeah.
No one knew me from anyone here.
Yeah.
But I said, if I'm coming here, then I'm planting roots. I'm going to raise my children here. I'm going all in. Joined Kiwanis Club of Marietta. Whatever anyone needed, I try to never say no to. So if someone needed me on a board, I did it. If someone needed me to dance to raise money for them, I did it. If someone needed this, that, or the other, I did it. The other arts organizations that are small and don't have enough people to do all the research that it takes to find all the grants during a pandemic, made sure that we went through all the different, from the Shutter Venues Operators Grant to the Employee Retention Credits to how PPP was working to everything. We're all in this together. It's important that we all work together, we play together, we live together. We're all here in the same community. I don't believe in this not providing help when someone needs help. I took over in 18, so from 14 to 18, it was getting where I thought this place should be as far as that goes. We had obviously a wonderful board of directors. I had a wonderful executive director who was guiding the ship, but I made it my goal in life to get this place pumping. So by the time that 2019 happens, in the before times, 1,100 events between the 3 floors. We're flipping spaces. We're doing whatever. We're having a baby shower in here and then flipping over to piano bar lounge at night. I've got a rehearsal dinner. I've got a corporate event. Then I'm flipping over to another thing.
Now, let me ask you, the Lyric ran the place and then it shifted. What was that transition like?
I mean, it was hard. They outgrew our space and our calendar. So we couldn't have enough things in between.
Oh, I see.
So they went over to Ginny T, which is a great fit for them because it's got...
That's the Cobb.
Yes, Cobb County's Ginny T. Anderson at the Civic Center. It was a transition because...
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a real rough thing for the Strand.
Well, I mean, it was in a sense because then we had to fill all those dates. But, you know, we did, and we continued to grow and everything else. And... You know, we've come full circle with the Lyric. Mary and I, Bennett, like, we're tight. We're doing a show in January together. We're going to do our first real show, real production, 3-day, Best of Broadway on the stage of the Strand Theatre in partnership together. Well, I went to Mary and I was like, I wasn't here during the divorce, and I'm glad that we can, like, co-parent now, but well, I don't care about whatever happened in the past. Like, all these people are gone. I have nothing. we should do something together and show that everyone that we, we're here, we're having fun, we can be together and do stuff. And she was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah, and the arts needs that kind of connectivity between, because each place has its different venue, its different look and feel. You can have all those feelings and stay in Marietta.
So I took a course with the Atlanta Regional Commission. It was called ALMA, the Arts Leaders of Metro Atlanta. I don't know how I got in, but I did. I was very lucky. And we went down to Hapeville, Georgia, which calls itself the arts capital of Georgia. And I met with the mayor, I met with city council, and their art was a public butterfly exhibit, a trailer that had revolving art in it, and a 35-seat sort of black box.
Yeah.
And they call themselves the City of the Arts. And I said, if they can call themselves the City of the Arts, then we have this in spades. Like, we all need to be in this to win this together. And I'm proud of what the Arts District has been able to do to come together and help each other out. I mean, you wouldn't have gotten Jump, Jive, and Boogie, okay? Great show that GNDT put on for their kids. If you didn't have Sam Skelton and the Georgia Symphony Orchestra Jazz section come here, if you had played tracks for that, it would not have been the same show.
No,
and they
absolutely.
are going crazy on stage in the 40s styling. But that show wouldn't exist if everyone was still siloed.
Right, exactly. I was just thinking that word, yeah.
And you can't have that.
Right.
It's got to be, everybody's got to be working together sort of hand in hand. And it kind of goes back to the very beginning of this conversation. You've got to have the arts talking together, the government talking with us, the local businesses talking with us, and the individuals.
Yep.
It's important.
Yeah, we all grow together, we don't.
That's right.
You talked about the before times. Talk to me about COVID in 2020.
All right. So we had just come off the best year that we'd ever had at the Strand Theatre. I'm incredibly happy with how all of that. We had Ed Asner here.
I know.
I mean,
it's crazy. I love the guy.
That blew my mind.
I know.
I mean, I would call him on the phone. It was hilarious because this guy, the same secretary, would answer every time. And then you'd hear Ed Asner in the background going, "Who is it?"
Yeah.
It's Andy Gangster of the Strand. Well, I want to talk to him. All right. Hello, Mr. Asner. How are you doing today?
Right.
I'm just calling to check in. They reached out to us, which is, maybe the crowning achievement of my time here at the Strand. I was like, I'm sorry. At first, I thought it was one of the prank phone call deals. Like, why in the world? We've heard a lot about you. I'm doing a show. I don't want to go to massive theaters. I want to go to theaters like your size. And I've heard a lot about you. I want to come to you. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know that I can afford you, if I'm being honest. We're not a highfalutin, I can't pay your guarantee. He's like, I don't care about the money. We'll just split it. And I went, what now?
Yeah.
Okay. And he was willing, and he was down to do everything. He did the show. He did the fireside chats after.
Right.
That blew people's minds.
I know.
I'm going to get to sit and just talk with Ed Asner? I mean, so we were coming off that. That was what 2019
and
was.
he's still sharp as a damn
Oh, my good. I mean, we're
amazing.
still talking. There's news in the works, but that's all I can say right now until I'm allowed to announce things. Everything has happened. Everything is going on. We are just moving along. 2019, 1,100 events, economic influence of more than $4 million on the square. Everything is going. We are so excited. Pandemic hits, and then everything comes to a halt. We cry for a few days. I remember calling, so the governor spoke on Saturday morning. We were supposed to have Metropolis here. Silent film, live organ accompaniment.
Right.
They found lost footage to that movie because someone in Argentina who was a projectionist had died. He had put it in his attic. They found the footage. So there's a gentleman named Clark who lives in Ohio. And he's the only person that we have found that can actually play this music. The American Theater Organ Society has an organ here at the Strand Theater. We love it. We play it before. If you were here for Fried Green Tomatoes, or we did Selma during Juneteenth, we just kind of reopened to the public. Organist comes up and plays. So we have access to all these. These organists are the same organists that play the Fox Theater.
Same dudes.
These aren't schlubs.
Right.
These are the real deal. These are the dudes and dudettes. These are the real people. No one could play this. Or if they could, you can't play it for 2 hours and 45 minutes, because that's what this dude does. It's a sprinting marathon, as we said earlier. It's crazy. So we flew this guy out to play this show, and then we couldn't do it. It was the saddest day I think I've had through the pandemic. It was awful, because where else are you going to find a theater that still has an ongoing silent film series with live organ accompaniment? The answer is, I don't know. Nowhere. Us? Who else does anything like that?
But just the emotional impact, and not trying to project too far, and everything's collapsing. I must have been a horrible.
You just look around
weeks.
and it's just everything's on fire. So I remember calling in the room that we're in right now. We're in our piano bar lounge. I said, everybody come into the office. Everybody come in. We got to talk through all of this and see what it's going to be. And basically it was, well, we're going to sit and wait and cry for a couple of days. And then no matter what, we're going to have a plan to move forward. The plan to move forward was the double feature Fridays that we did online, which was fun. We always had people in the chat rooms, and we had people from all over the world tuning in. I still can't believe it. I made a friend in Romania, which was kind of cool. And then we were doing live concerts, either on Saturday or Sunday, for months. New, different concerts we did the Follies of 1919. I mean, we reached pretty far deep into the repertoire.
There's not many people that are like, man, I really miss those Follies.
Right? But for us, it was, if we don't create, we're going to die.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We're here. People can't be here, so we got to be here for them.
Yeah. Well, it's a recurring theme. You talked about the box. I just put this constraint on you. Let's get creative.
Yeah, let's get going. All right, we're in this room. What's your idea? What do you got? What do you want to do? What have you always wanted to do here that you've never been able to do ever? One of the things that actually popped up was a joke about, well, shoot, if we can't show regular movies, why don't we just let people have a party and they bring, you can space out 15 people in there, so let people have small parties and watch movies. Wait, that's a great idea. Why don't we do that? So that's how private movie night started. It started as literally a joke. And we said, all right, we can handle this.
And when it's like $350 or something, was it?
Yeah, it was $350, 15 people, your popcorn, soda, candy included. You walked in and everything was set. You chose a movie, we got it, and you do it. And people did everything. They watched all the movies you could possibly imagine. People watched their wedding videos. I mean, it was everything. The number of people that said, I literally haven't been anywhere, and this is the first time I have left my house. I have had my groceries delivered. I have not gone anywhere or done anything. Yeah. It meant a couple of different things to us. Number one, it meant that we were a lifeline for people. It also gave people a chance to be around other people for the first time. And it gave people hope of
a return to something.
Just something. And so during the pandemic, we did more than 130 private movie nights. And we still did other things. People got married here. I did a 6-person wedding here. And 3 of them were standing up, talking to each other and officiating. Whatever we got to do, whatever, we'll make it work. Yeah. The motto of the Strand, we'll make it work.
You talked about 2019 was your best year. What was 2020 revenue?
So, all right. I'm going to try to put it in perspective. In 2019, so you have earned income, you have unearned income. Earned income is things like ticket sales, concessions, rentals. All of those are earned income. And then on the other side, you've got the unearned. So that's things like donations or sponsorships or grants. That would be. So in 2019, 72% of our income was earned income, 28% unearned. Now, I need to put that in perspective. A nonprofit theater does not run on more unearned income than earned. That's not a concept. When we joined the Georgia Presenters, which is a group of all the different theaters around the state of Georgia, and we were hoping to find someone else like us. And then they said, no, y'all are like the unicorn. We're trying to figure out how to be like y'all. It's like, dang it. I really thought someone else would have this insane model that we have, which is just sprint. Just sprint. Yeah. There you go. 72% earned, 28% unearned. In 2020, it was 63% unearned and 37% earned. So a complete flip. And the budget number went from large to small. Not that the board was against this in any way, but the sort of the hill that I was willing to die on for this place was keeping our core salaried staff together. We made sure that our hourly folks got taken care of. We put them on unemployment. We did, every Sunday it was us. No one filled anything out. We made sure that everyone was taken care of. But I refused to let go of our wonderful staff. We called ourselves the Core 8. Nobody could go. We had to keep everybody so that the moment that this was done, we could hit the ground running. We never canceled any shows. We just postponed them. And every month we'd go, all right, we're postponing out the next month. We'd always do a full, basically 2 months ahead from the first. That's why when July 1st hit and we could reopen to the public at full capacity, the entire month of July is completely packed full of stuff. If someone can't find something that they want to do in the month of July at the Strand Theater, I don't know what else to do for them. Because every Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, there are things going on inside of here that they could be a part of. And so that was a big piece. We also had COVID duties as assigned, which meant that our core 8 people were the ones working every event. No, if I was bartending, my bookkeeper was bartending, our development director was running tech for movies or whatever. Everyone did everything, and we all worked together, and we did it together, and we all felt good about it because that was kind of the one piece. So
that's probably a good thing too, though. In the future, it's like, I'm not going to mess with that person. That's a harder job than I think it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you gain a perspective that people gain perspective they had no idea of before. And they even worked in the same place. But you don't know how hard it is until you've got to do it. And everybody's waiting on you. Yeah. And the thing needs to happen. It needs to happen right now. And nobody thinks about things when they go right. People only complain when things go wrong. And when you're the center of wrongness, you feel it. As someone that had to run Zoom meetings for Kiwanis for a year.
Oh, God.
Everything's hunky-dory until one thing goes wrong. And you're like,
especially online, the whole thing just goes away.
Yep.
It's all done.
It's done. So, okay. The Strand obviously has I don't want to say advantage, but we have something that we are able to pull that a normal for-profit business cannot pull. While Blue Sky Exhibits could no longer do exhibits, they couldn't just say, could you give us money for us to survive? They had to invent new businesses in order to adapt to what was going on. Well, we adapted. We just needed the help of our community in order to continue to do what we do. That was why it was so important for us to continue doing all the private events that we did. And in totality, a lot, more than 180. So we never stopped. And it was really important that we showed our community that we weren't going to stop. It wasn't just, can we have money, please? No. We kept going. We kept doing events. And I think our bookkeeper, Debbie Hall, said it best in front of the board, which when someone asked us, so what was the one thing that saved you during this time? And the answer was, it wasn't just one thing. It was everything. It was every little grant, every little this, every little movie that we did. $350 is nothing, but when you do 130 of them, it adds up. You know? Could we just get enough to get by? And so with the help of our board, with the help of everyone, that's how we were able to do it.
Yeah.
It was not death by 1,000 cuts. It was survival by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, it's almost kind of reminded me of the Depression, you know. I just got to make it today. I just got to make it tomorrow, you know, and not think too far ahead. It's too scary.
No, I mean, honestly, that's the way it is. You got to kind of, you know, it's hard. I'm supposed to have the 30,000 foot
Right.
view, but that's not
Nobody,
what I had.
well, nobody did.
No, it was survival mode.
Yeah.
What can we do to make sure that we're still here? Because we're important. And I don't mean that because I work here and all of that, but I have all these experiences here that I want to make sure are saved.
Right.
You know, I didn't come here when I called it the babysitter. This is the first place I ever sang a song on a stage. This is the first place all my friends did. I was never going to be the reason why people couldn't come back here after and have a new memory. I knew where we were going, and I didn't have to drag people, but I would have dragged people kicking and screaming. This is what we're going to do. How are we going to do it? That's the real question.
Yeah.
And thankfully, there's a wonderful staff, wonderful board here who is incredibly supportive, who have great ideas, and are willing to get their hands dirty and not just say something and then back off. No, everybody comes
You
in.
think that's a good idea, Andy? Oh, it's those type of folk, yeah. So tell me, 2021.
Oh yeah.
July going forward. What do you see?
I see a lot of people coming here, not only to the Strand but to the square. I mean, you saw what it was
that
like.
Was crazy.
It
was hopping.
It was. And it's going to be. I mean, I said before, but we got something for everybody. And let me tell you, if you don't want to go sit inside the auditorium and see a show, don't worry, because I got a piano bar that's going to be playing jazz piano. By the end of the night, it's going to turn into drunk karaoke. I mean, we won Best in Cobb, Best Karaoke.
Really?
Does it get better than that?
No.
And we don't even have karaoke night. But that's what it turns into, because we got such great piano players that people get up and they're just like, we play this, I just want to sing. And these are people that don't sing.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of feeling. It's like the Roaring Twenties after, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not that I condone getting on the
Prohibition
furniture, but the
goes
number of people that have gotten up and danced,
Really?
I mean, it's phenomenal. And upstairs, you know,
Yeah.
have a beer, watch the sunset, watch the Glover Park concerts. It's everything.
The Kennesaw Mountain in the background.
Yes.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Everything you need.
Yeah.
We got it all.
Yeah, I'm super excited. You know, when I talk to you, and I know you talk about your board and stuff like that, but someone once told me you want to do that thing that gets other people excited when you talk about it. And definitely you're in the right job, you're in the right community, and I'm super excited to get to know you in this interview. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with people? Let's say they've never set foot in Marietta. What would you tell them about Marietta and the Strand and what you're trying to create?
I would tell them that for the city of Marietta, it's got everything that you could possibly imagine to do in a day, in a weekend, in a week. Just come and visit, because you're going to have fun. Whether it's the arts or the outdoors,
History.
whether it's the history, whether it's the culture, whatever it is, you can find your niche here. You know, we may be a small city, but man, do we got a big heart. And there is a lot going on here and it's not just, I went over to Sugar Cakes right before you came here. And I had to look at my watch because I was talking to everybody inside, because that's what this place is. It's everybody knows each other. Everybody's having a good time. And we just want to share that.
Right.
You know, this is the place to be. We're having fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're going to continue doing at the Strand. We're just going to continue having fun. So we're going to have our own little world, and we're going to have a lot of fun in it. And our orbit is going to just gravitationally just keep pulling more and more and more people in as we partner with more and more organizations and people and businesses and everything else to make sure that we can provide all the warm and fuzzy feelings that exists inside of people, the inspirational, aspirational, functionality, and then also be an economic driver. We want butts in our seats, but we want to put butts in the seats of our restaurants, walking through the retail shops, spending money here, and which only improves this community. We are all together. A rising tide raises all ships.
Absolutely. Well, Andy, I really appreciate all your time. I know you're super busy as things get cranked back up. This was one of my all-time favorite interviews.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. I love when someone can talk for an hour and a half and it feels like 5 minutes. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you have it. Andy Gaines of the Strand Theatre. Please check out the Strand Theatre. I know they're working through this COVID. You get that feeling from him. I certainly enjoyed that interview. Please support Marietta Stories. Tell a couple friends about the show, and we're going to make Marietta even better because I'm going to be a judge. Who knew? At the Taste of Marietta, there's all kinds of fun things. Check out, visit Marietta and MariettaStories.com.